The mailbox sat on Ivy Street in Evergreen Ridge, California, its red flag raised and stubborn, like a memory refusing to fade. June Lawson approached, breath catching, not just from the gentle spring breeze, but from all the words she'd packed inside her hand, unmailed letters to her childhood friend, Andrew Drew Carter. Inside her apartment, the walls smelled of steamed coffee and paper. June's desk, a simple maple slab, was cluttered with stationery, envelopes, and half-empty cups. She eased into the chair, careful not to disturb the silence that seemed weighted with regret. The letters lay in a neat pile: unsent apologies, thank you notes, admissions of love she never voiced. Each envelope marked with Drew's name in her carefully practiced handwriting. She reached for the first one, dated months ago. Drew. The name pressed on her heart. She'd known him in high school in that drab auditorium in Riverside, where they both stood waiting for scholarship announcements. He'd smiled, tentative, shy, and that smile had stayed with her. She never sent the good luck letter for his scholarship application. She never told him she was proud. Her fingers trembled as she picked up the second letter. Thank you for saving me that day. She had turned to him in 2019 after a breakdown at college trying to juggle grades and grief after her mom's passing. Drew showed up unexpectedly with takeout and a willingness to silence. She never said, never wrote, that his presence was a light. She never mailed that thank you. Now, in 2025, she couldn't let another year pass. She left her apartment in the familiar glow of the early afternoon. Evergreen Ridge felt new, quiet roads blossoming with jacarandas, and she followed Ivy Street to the mailbox. The letters trembled in her grasp. Just do it, she whispered to herself, voice low, breath clouding in the cool air. She slipped the letters into the mailbox, fingers shaking. She stood there, breath throbbing in her ears, heart thunderous. A car droned past, and for a moment the world paused. Drew lived in Oakvale, another small California town, close enough for mail to arrive by next morning, yet far enough that messages can linger too long. Later that evening, June collapsed at her kitchen counter, staring into an empty mug. She thought of Drew, how he paused when she tried to say, I miss you, how his eyes softened. The letters, they were more than words. They were pockets of memory, pockets of hope. She wondered if Drew would read them with the same nostalgia, the same light. In the early hours, June's phone buzzed. A message. June? Got your letters, thank you. Can we talk? Her heart leapt. Months of unsent words now unspooling gently, softly, like a sunrise after a long night. They met the next day at Maple Cafe in Oakvale. June's hands curled around a warm mug of tea. Across from her, Drew sat quietly, scanning the letters he'd tucked back into his jacket. He smiled, gentle, familiar, filled with what might be hope. He said, You didn't have to mail them. But I'm glad you did. June blinked, words colliding in her throat. They walked afterward in the cafe's courtyard, where tulips trembled with rain from earlier. June spoke, halting, but sincere. I wrote them because I didn't know how to say the things I felt. Her voice softened. I'm sorry I waited so long. Drew stopped. He looked at her, the afternoon sun catching his hair in copper highlights. No apology needed. You wrote, and that matters. They sat on a nearby bench, rain droplets still trembling on petals around them. They talked, sunlight bouncing between them, words carried on spring warmth. June told him how she felt lost after college, how she hid grief inside journal pages. Drew shared how he'd thought of those letters often, wondered what she might say. Neither of them had acted. Fear and distance held both silent. But now that the letters were sent, they had begun an honest conversation. As evening fell, They walked under blooming branches toward the bus station. June felt the letters heavy in her tote bag. Physical weight, yes, but also sweet relief. They'd bridged the space where light had once flickered, faltered, but not vanished. Drew slipped a hand into hers. She squeezed back, and they paused in the lavender glow of street lamps. The world felt soft, full of possibility. June thought, not all letters need to be mailed to heal a heart, but sometimes sending the unsent ones begins the healing.